The video for July the 7th, 2017 is entitled, "We Have Unalienable or Unalienable Rights." The definition of unalienable rights is the state of a thing or right which cannot be sold. Things that are not in commerce, as public roads, are in their nature unalienable or unalienable again. What's unalienable cannot be taken away or denied. Thomas Jefferson understood unalienable rights as fixed rights given to us by our Creator rather than by government. Jefferson's thought on the source of these rights was impacted by Oxford's William Blackstone, who described unalienable rights as absolute rights, showing that they were absolute because they came from Him who is absolute, and that they were, are, and always will be, because the giver of those rights, Jefferson's Creator, was and is and will always be. Moreover, because we are endowed with them, the rights are inseparable from us. They are part of our humanity. In a word, the government did not give them and therefore cannot take them away. But the government still strains at ways to suppress them. Continuing. To protect fundamental individual rights, James Madison helped include the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. The intent was to remove them from government's reach. The unalienable rights explicitly protected by the Bill of Rights include, but are not limited to, the rights of free speech and religion, the right to keep and bear arms, self-determination with regard to one's own property, and the right to be secure in one's own property, the right to a trial by jury of one's peers, protection from cruel and unusual punishment, and so forth. Among the unalienable rights implicitly protected in the Bill of Rights are freedom of conscience. How can one have freedom of speech or religion without freedom of conscience? And the right to self-defense. As Associate Justice Samuel Alito wrote in the majority decision for McDonald versus Chicago, 2010, self-defense is a basic right recognized by many legal systems from ancient times to the present day. And in District of Columbia versus Heller, 2008, we held that individual self-defense is a central component of the Second Amendment right. Unalienable rights are ours to keep by virtue of our Creator. So said Thomas Jefferson through the Declaration of Independence, and he was seconded by James Madison through the Bill of Rights. Sorry about the long blurb, but once again, I'm focusing on, because of July the 4th and everything, I've been focusing on things that are basic truths and foundational realities that have been subverted by our so-called government, which is nothing but a criminal operation run by international bankers. And our natural rights have been undermined, and our human dignity has been stolen and supplanted by these who are as one of my friends wrote. He wrote, I don't remember how he titled the book, but I remember this term, the subhumans. And these are not human beings. They are beings that are demonic. Now, there's other words that you could use, but they have no compassion. They have no empathy. They have no common sense. They cannot create original thoughts. They can only expand on thoughts that are created by someone else, and everything they do is by force, not by common sense, not by logic, not by any form of decency. They do not see humans as having any rights. These are beasts, and yet they are beasts that have human form, look like humans, sound like humans, but they're not human. And the way we can tell is because they do lack empathy. They can kill without remorse. They can do lots of atrocious things with no remorse whatsoever. Again, they are demonic in nature. And folks, we need to not sit back and let anyone, especially not people claiming to be government. They're not government. It's an anomaly what we have in the United States. It was, we were set as a light on a hill in a sense with the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights and documents of that nature. We were set on a pedestal to be a light in the world. Instead, it was supplanted, and the British people and the churches, both Roman Catholic and Protestant, have subverted the very foundation of our human existence by subverting principles that should be, but somehow we've lost them. They should be common sense. They should be obvious. They are obvious to those of us that are waking up. But when we've been brainwashed to the extent that we have as humanity, they lose their obviousness. And they no longer are plain as the nose on our face, so to speak. Folks, what's it going to take? I mean, I'm tired. I'm tired. And I'd like to see real change take place on the world. And I'd like to see our Creator take responsibility for the creation. I'm doing the best I can. And many others are doing the best they can as well. But we've got to get rid of this demonic element that has twisted and distorted everything that's decent, everything that would make the world work for the benefit of all. There's no need to reduce human population. There's only a need to make better use of what is already here, and most especially to reestablish and to have a new birth, not of freedom, but a new birth of awareness, a new birth of consciousness that would uplift us and bring us to a place where we would recognize the insanity of the world that we live in and stop the nonsense. And stopping the nonsense, if necessary, means getting rid of these bastards that are subhuman, non-human, demonic, whatever label you want to put on them. These beings, these Rothschilds and Rockefellers and international bankers, behind them is a demonic element, an evil element, and we're not going to be able to live right until we turn evil around, and then it becomes living. But as long as it's still evil, and it is evil, as long as that still exists, we're not going to be able to remake the world in a positive way where the world can work for everybody. And look, archaeologically, we know the world has been destroyed a number of times already because our Creator doesn't take sides. And that's insanity to me, but it seems to be the reality. It's whatever it will be, and it's up to us. Well, I don't believe it's up to us because we can't do it, especially in a brainwashed condition, when we've been limited and coerced and subjected to things that deprive us of our natural abilities and suppress us and keep us imprisoned in the bondage of our own minds, because our minds have been taken over by these charlatans. Folks, please, 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 what's it going to take to wake us up and to get us to actually take action? And I'm not talking about violence. And I don't know how the action can come about, but somehow these charlatans need to be removed from the human scene and from Earth altogether. Thank you for listening, and namaste.